Have you ever watched someone destroy their entire family fortune with just one mean action? Stay with me because what happens next will shock you. Before we dive into this unbelievable true story, please hit that like button, share this video with someone who needs to hear it, and subscribe to Viral Tales so you never miss stories that will change how you see the world. Also, drop a comment below and tell us where you're watching from. We absolutely love hearing from you. Now, let me take you inside the most expensive party of the year. The Crystal Grand Hotel sparkled like a jewel box on that cold winter evening. Inside the biggest ballroom you could imagine, rich and powerful people walked around in fancy clothes that cost more than most people's cars. The room smelled like expensive perfume and fresh roses. Giant chandeliers hung from the ceiling like frozen waterfalls made of diamonds. Every person there was either a millionaire or a billionaire, and they all acted like they owned the world. Waiters in white gloves carried trays of champagne in crystal glasses. A live orchestra played soft music in the corner. Everything looked perfect, like a fairy tale. But sometimes the prettiest places hide the ugliest hearts. At the center of all this beauty stood a woman named Maya Chun. She was the boss of a huge technology company called Chin Industries. Maya had built her company from nothing. She started in a tiny apartment with just a laptop and a big dream. Now, 10 years later, her company was worth billions of dollars. She created programs that help hospitals save lives and schools teach better. People respected her all over the world. Tonight was supposed to be Maya's biggest victory. She had just signed a deal worth $2.4 billion with the powerful Hartwell Corporation. This wasn't just about money. This partnership meant her technology would reach millions more people. Children in poor countries would get better education. Sick people would get faster treatment. Maya's dream was finally coming true. She wore a simple but elegant black dress. Her hair was pulled back neatly. She didn't wear much jewelry, just small pearl earrings her grandmother had given her. While everyone else tried to show off their wealth, Maya let her success speak for itself. She smiled warmly as she talked to business partners and shook hands with important guests. But not everyone was happy about Maya's success. From across the room, cold eyes watched her every move. Those eyes belonged to Victoria Hartwell, the sister of the billionaire who owned the Hartwell Corporation. Victoria had never worked a real day in her life. She was born rich and thought that made her better than everyone else. She wore a red dress covered in diamonds that probably cost more than a house. Her blonde hair was styled perfectly, and her makeup looked like it took hours to apply. Victoria whispered to her friends, her voice dripping with poison. "Look at her, acting like she belongs here. My brother must have lost his mind, making a deal with someone like that." Her friends giggled meanly, like a group of school bullies. "I heard she came from nothing," one of them said. "Imagine thinking you can just buy your way into our world." "Money can't buy class," Victoria sneered, sipping her wine. "And it certainly can't change where you come from." The truth was, Victoria was jealous. Deeply, painfully jealous. Her brother Marcus ran the family business, and he was brilliant at it. But Victoria? She had never accomplished anything on her own. She lived off her family's money and spent her days shopping and going to parties. When Marcus announced his partnership with Maya Chun, calling her the most innovative mind in technology, Victoria felt something ugly twist in her stomach. How dare this outsider get praised by her brother? How dare she stand in this room, getting respect that Victoria thought belonged only to people born into wealth? As the evening continued, Victoria drank more wine. With each glass, her jealousy grew hotter, meaner, more dangerous. She watched Maya laugh with a group of investors. She watched people lean in to hear Maya's ideas. She watched her brother Marcus stand next to Maya, looking proud of their partnership. Victoria couldn't take it anymore. She grabbed a full glass of deep red wine from a passing waiter. Her friends noticed the look on her face and tried to stop her. "Victoria, don't do something stupid," one warned. But Victoria was already moving to the crowd like a shark through water. Her high heels clicked against the marble floor. People stepped aside as she walked past, sensing something bad was about to happen. Maya was in the middle of a conversation with an elderly investor when she noticed Victoria approaching. She smiled politely, not knowing what was coming. "Hello. You must be Marcus's sister. It's lovely to finally meet you." Victoria stopped right in front of her. Up close, Maya could see the hatred burning in Victoria's eyes. The music seemed to fade. Nearby conversation stopped. People turned to watch. "Oh, how sweet," Victoria said, her voice loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. "The new partner thinks we're friends." She looked Maya up and down like she was inspecting something dirty. "Tell me, did you have to work very hard to afford that dress? Or did you borrow it for tonight?" The insult hung in the air like smoke. Maya's smile faded, but she stayed calm. "I worked hard for everything I have," she said quietly, "just like I work hard for everything I achieve." "How inspiring," Victoria mocked, her words sharp as knives. "A little success story. But let me tell you something, sweetheart. Some of us were born into excellence. We don't have to pretend we belong. We just do." Maya took a slow breath. She had dealt with people like Victoria before, bullies who thought money made them superior. "Respect isn't something you're born with," Maya said clearly. "It's something you earn." Those words hit Victoria like a slap. Her face turned red with rage. How dare this woman talk back to her? How dare she act like they were equals? What happened next seemed to unfold in slow motion. Victoria raised her wine glass high in the air. The red liquid swirled inside like liquid anger. Maya saw it coming but didn't move. She stood tall, her chin up, refusing to cower. Then Victoria tipped the glass forward. The wine splashed across Maya's shoulder and down the front of her beautiful black dress. Dark red stains spread across the fabric like blood. Droplets fell to the white marble floor, each one a tiny explosion of humiliation meant to break Maya's spirit. The entire ballroom gasped. Over 200 people watched in shock. For 3 long heartbeats, nobody moved. Nobody breathed. Then came the laughter. It started with Victoria's friends, their high-pitched giggles like the sound of breaking glass. Then others joined in, nervous laughter that spread to the crowd like a disease. People who claimed to be civilized suddenly became a mob, united in their cruelty. Camera phones appeared like magic. Flashes went off. People were already typing, already posting, already sharing this moment of public shame with the world. Victoria's voice rang out clear and cruel. "Oops, I'm so sorry. I didn't see you standing there. You just blend into the background so easily, don't you?" The crowd laughed harder. Someone shouted, "She'll never recover from this." Another voice said, "There goes that partnership." But Maya didn't cry. She didn't shout. She didn't run away in shame like Victoria expected. Instead, something strange happened. Maya's face became completely calm, like the surface of a deep, still lake. While wine dripped from her dress, she reached into her small purse and pulled out her phone. Her fingers, steady as stone, unlocked the screen. The laughter started to fade as people watched, confused. What was she doing? Why wasn't she falling apart? Maya scrolled through her phone once, then twice. The room got quieter and quieter. Even Victoria stopped smiling, uncertainty creeping into her eyes. Then Maya lifted the phone to her ear. The entire ballroom held its breath, straining to hear what she would say. Who was she calling? Her lawyer? Her publicist? Was she admitting defeat? Maya's voice, when it came, was barely above a whisper. But somehow, in that silent room, everyone heard it. "Execute Protocol 7, she said calmly. Immediately, she lowered the phone and looked directly at Victoria. Her eyes weren't angry. They weren't sad. They were absolutely certain, like someone who had just moved the final chess piece in a game Victoria didn't even know she was playing. Victoria laughed nervously. What was that supposed to be? Some kind of dramatic moment? Please. But Maya didn't respond. She simply waited, standing in her wine-stained dress, as calm as a queen on a throne. Then, all around the room, phones began to buzz. At first, it was just 1 or 2, then 5, then 20. Then it seemed like every single phone in the entire ballroom started vibrating at the exact same time. The sound filled the air like a swarm of mechanical bees. People reached for their devices, Confused looks spreading across their faces. An executive near the front pulled out his phone and stared at the screen. His face went completely white, like he'd seen a ghost. "No," he whispered. "This can't be real." Another woman, a board member of some big company, gasped so loud that people around her jumped. Her hand flew to her mouth. "Oh my God," she breathed. More and more guests checked their notifications. The confusion turned to shock. Shock turned to panic. Whispers filled the room like wildfire spreading through dry grass. "Is this true? When did this happen? How is this possible?" Victoria looked around, her confident smirk starting to crack. "What's going on?" she demanded. "Why is everyone acting so weird?" Nobody answered her. They were all too busy reading the same message that had just appeared on every business news website, every stock market app, every social media platform that mattered. Finally, an older businessman turned his phone screen toward Victoria. She squinted at it, trying to read the headline. When the words finally made sense to her brain, her face changed completely. The color drained away. Her mouth fell open. The wine glass in her hand slipped from her fingers and shattered on the marble floor. The headline read, "Breaking news. Chun Industries terminates $2.4 billion partnership with Hartwell Corporation. Contract canceled effective immediately." "What?" Victoria's voice came out like a squeak. She grabbed the man's phone and read it again, as if reading it a second time would make it say something different. But the words stayed the same. Below the headline was a statement from Chun Industries, posted on their official account just 2 minutes ago. "After careful consideration and due to serious violations of our partnership agreement's integrity clause, Chun Industries has decided to immediately terminate all business relationships with Hartwell Corporation. This decision is final and irreversible. We do not enter partnerships lightly, and we do not tolerate behavior that contradicts our core values of respect and dignity for all people." Victoria's hands shook as she read. Her mind couldn't process what was happening. "You can't do this," she said, her voice getting louder and more desperate. "You can't just cancel a deal because of a little wine." Maya finally spoke, her voice calm and clear as crystal. "I didn't cancel it because of wine. I canceled it because your family showed me exactly who they are. And I don't do business with people who think cruelty is entertainment. But the contract," Victoria stammered. "There are lawyers. There are rules. You can't just walk away from billions of dollars." "Actually, I can," Maya said simply. "Every contract my company signs includes what we call an integrity clause. If either party demonstrates behavior that violates basic human dignity, the other party can terminate immediately without penalty. Your brother signed it. His lawyers approved it. And you just activated it." From across the ballroom came a roar that made everyone jump. "Victoria!" Marcus Hartwell came storming to the crowd like an angry bull. His face was red, his eyes wild with panic and fury. He had his phone clutched so tight in his hand that his knuckles were white. Behind him trailed 3 men in expensive suits who looked like they might faint at any moment, his lawyers and business advisors, all wearing the same expression of complete horror. "What have you done?" Marcus shouted at his sister. He wasn't even trying to keep his voice down anymore. Everyone could hear him. "What have you done?" Victoria backed away from him, suddenly looking small and scared. "Marcus, She was acting like she was better than us, and I thought—" "You thought?" Marcus's laugh was bitter and sharp. "You don't think, Victoria. You've never thought about anyone but yourself your entire worthless life. Do you have any idea what you've just cost us?" He turned to Maya, and his anger transformed into desperate pleading. "Miss Chun, please. This is a misunderstanding. My sister doesn't represent our company. She's not involved in business decisions. Surely we can work this out. The partnership is too important to both our companies." Maya looked at him with something like pity. "Mr. Hartwell, your sister wore your family name like armor while she tried to humiliate me in front of everyone here. She thought she was untouchable because of who her brother is. That tells me everything I need to know about the culture of your organization." "But think about the money," one of Marcus's advisors blurted out. $2.4 billion. Think about the jobs. The investors, the shareholders. I am thinking about them, Maya said. I'm thinking that I won't build anything with people who believe some humans deserve less respect than others. Money is just paper. Dignity is everything. Marcus's face went from red to purple. You'll regret this. We have connections. Influence. We can make things very difficult for you and your company. Maya smiled, but it wasn't a happy smile. It was a smile of someone who had already won and was just waiting for everyone else to realize it. Are you threatening me, Mr. Hartwell? Because I should mention that this conversation is being recorded, and threats made in front of 200 witnesses tend not to help anyone's reputation. Marcus's mouth snapped shut. Around them, people were still frantically checking their phones. The stock market apps were showing something terrifying. Hartwell Corporation's stock price was dropping. Fast. Very fast. The number kept changing, falling lower and lower as investors realized what had happened and started selling their shares as quickly as possible. 15% down, someone whispered. No, wait, 17%. This is a crash. Maya walked past Marcus toward the small stage where the party's charity banners still hung. Her wine-stained dress left a trail behind her, but she moved like a queen in royal robes. Everyone stepped aside to let her pass. The orchestra had stopped playing. The waiters had frozen in place. Every single eye in that massive ballroom was locked on her. She picked up the microphone that sat on a stand near the stage. When she spoke, her voice filled the room, powerful and clear. Ladies and gentlemen, Maya began, and you could hear a pin drop in that silence. I want to thank you all for being here tonight. You've taught me something valuable. Victoria whimpered somewhere in the crowd, but Maya ignored her. Tonight, I was reminded that wealth and class are not the same thing. You can have all the money in the world and still have a poor spirit. You can live in a mansion and still have a small heart. People shifted uncomfortably. Some looked at their shoes. I came here believing I was entering into a partnership with good people. But I've learned that some organizations are rotten from the inside out. When the people at the top allow cruelty, when they laugh at humiliation, when they think power means you can hurt others without consequences, that rot spreads everywhere. Maya's eyes swept across the crowd. Every person in this room watched what happened to me. Most of you laughed. Some of you recorded it to share later. You all thought it was funny to see someone get torn down because she didn't fit your idea of who deserves respect. The silence was painful now. People couldn't meet her gaze. So I want to leave you with this thought. Maya continued. True power isn't about who can embarrass who. It's not about who has the oldest family name or the biggest bank account. True power is knowing your worth and never letting anyone convince you that you deserve less than basic human dignity. She set the microphone down gently. The sound of it clicking into place echoed through the ballroom like a gunshot. Then Maya Chin turned and walked toward the exit. Her head was high. Her steps were steady. The crowd parted like the Red Sea, creating a path for her. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. They just watched her leave. This woman they had laughed at. This woman who had just destroyed a business empire with 3 words on a phone call. As she reached the door, her assistant appeared with her coat and a tablet computer. The young woman's eyes were wide with excitement and fear. Ms. Chun, she whispered, the news is everywhere. Every major outlet is covering it, and the stock market reaction is historic. Hartwell Corporation has lost $500 million in value in the last 20 minutes. Maya took her coat and wrapped it around her shoulders, covering the wine stains. It will get worse before it gets better. For them, anyway. Should I prepare a statement for press? Maya shook her head. I already made my statement. Now we watch and see who is paying attention. Behind them, inside the ballroom, chaos was erupting like a volcano. Outside, the night air was cold and fresh, washing away the suffocating atmosphere of the party. Maya climbed into her waiting car, a simple black sedan that didn't scream for attention like the limousines parked everywhere else. As the door closed, shutting out the noise and drama, she finally allowed herself to take a deep breath. Her assistant slid into the seat beside her, tablet glowing with incoming notifications. The numbers on the screen kept changing, updating every few seconds with new information. Ms. Chun, you need to see this. It's bigger than we thought. Maya looked at the tablet. The headlines were multiplying like rabbits. Every major news website, every business channel, every social media platform was exploding with the story. But it wasn't just the business news that was paying attention. Regular people, millions of them, were sharing the story too. Powerful CEO destroys billionaire family after public humiliation. Watch. Woman gets wine thrown on her. Respond by canceling $2 billion deal. The 3 words that cost a family their empire. The video was everywhere. Someone at the party had recorded the whole thing, from the wine spilling down Maya's dress to her quiet phone call to her powerful speech. In just 2 hours, that video had been viewed 40 million times. And the number kept climbing. Maya scrolled through the comments, and something unexpected happened. Her eyes got a little wet, not from sadness, but from seeing how many people understood exactly what she had done and why it mattered. Finally, someone stood up to these rich bullies. One comment read, with 200,000 likes, "This is what self-respect looks like," said another. She didn't yell. She didn't cry. She didn't beg. She just showed them that dignity is worth more than billions. "I'm teaching this to my daughter," wrote a mother, and thousands of people replied agreeing. But not everyone was happy. Some people were angry at Maya. She destroyed thousands of jobs over one glass of wine, someone argued. That's not justice, that's revenge. Maya's assistant saw her reading that comment and got worried. Should we respond to the criticism? No, Maya said softly. People who think that way will never understand. They see the wine but miss the disrespect. They count the money but ignore the humanity. We can't teach that in a statement. By morning, the real damage to Hartwell Corporation became clear. The stock had dropped 28% overnight. That meant the family had lost almost $1 billion in value. But worse than the money was the reputation damage. Investors weren't just worried about one canceled deal. They were asking bigger questions. If the family allowed this kind of behavior, what else were they allowing? What other problems were hiding behind the fancy name? 3 major investors announced they were pulling out completely. A bank that had been planning to loan Hartwell Corporation money for a new project suddenly changed their minds. Partners who had worked with the company for years started quietly looking for other options. Marcus Hartwell spent the entire night on the phone with lawyers, investors, and crisis management experts. But nothing worked. Every person he called had seen the video. Every person had read Maya's statement. And every person asked the same question. How could you let your sister do that? He tried to throw Victoria under the bus. She doesn't speak for the company, he told reporters. Her actions were her own. But people weren't buying it. She's your sister. One journalist shot back. She was at your party. She felt comfortable doing that because your family culture made her think it was okay. Victoria herself had disappeared. After the party, she ran to her expensive apartment and refused to come out. Her phone wouldn't stop ringing, but every call was someone angry. Her friends, the ones who had laughed with her, suddenly didn't know her anymore. They deleted photos with her from social media. They claimed they had tried to stop her. Everyone wanted distance from the woman who had become the most hated person on the internet. The cruel comments about Victoria were actually so mean that Maya had to make a second statement. While I cannot excuse the behavior I experienced, I do not support harassment or threats toward anyone. What happened was about standing up for dignity, not tearing others down. Even in her moment of total victory, Maya chose kindness. That made people respect her even more. 3 days after the party, Maya appeared on a famous television news show. The interviewer was known for asking tough questions, and everyone tuned in to watch. Would Maya gloat? Would she attack the Hartwell family more? Would she show the anger that everyone expected? The interviewer leaned forward, her expression serious. Ms. Chun, some people are calling what you did the greatest act of corporate revenge in history. How does that make you feel? Maya shook her head gently. It wasn't revenge. Revenge is about hurting someone because they hurt you. What I did was set a boundary. I showed that there are some things more valuable than money, and respect is at the top of that list. But you had to know it would destroy them financially, the interviewer pressed. I knew there would be consequences, Maya admitted. But those consequences came from their own actions, not from mine. I didn't make Victoria throw wine on me. I didn't make Marcus allow a culture where that seemed acceptable. I just refused to pretend it didn't matter. The interviewer showed a clip from the party, the moment when Maya made that phone call. These 3 words, execute Protocol 7, changed everything. Can you tell us what that meant? Maya smiled slightly. Every company I work with signs a partnership agreement that includes an integrity clause. It's a promise that both sides will treat people with basic respect and dignity. If that promise is broken, either side can walk away immediately. Protocol 7 is the code my team uses to activate that clause. It's been in every contract I've signed for 5 years. The Hartwell Corporation just became the first partner to make me use it. So this wasn't a sudden decision made in anger? Not at all, Maya said firmly. I built that protection into my business specifically because I knew situations like this could happen. I grew up without much money. I faced people who thought they were better than me my whole life. When I finally had the power to demand respect, I made sure that demand had teeth. The interview clip went viral too. Schools started using it in business classes. Leadership programs showed it to executives. Parent groups discussed it. The phrase dignity over dollars became a movement. Companies started adding similar clauses to their own contracts. People realized that Maya hadn't just stood up for herself. She had changed the entire conversation about how business should be done. Meanwhile, the Hartwell Corporation continued to fall apart. Marcus tried everything to save it. He fired several executives, tried to show he was serious about change. He donated money to charity. He made speeches about the importance of respect. But nothing worked. The damage was too deep. 6 months later, the company that had existed for 3 generations was bought out by a larger corporation for a fraction of what it had been worth. The Hartwell name, once so powerful and feared, became a warning story. Business schools taught about the Hartwell collapse as an example of how quickly reputation matters more than money. Victoria never recovered socially. She moved to another country, trying to escape the shame. But the internet never forgets. Wherever she went, people recognized her as the woman who destroyed her family's empire with one mean act. But this story isn't really about what happened to Victoria or Marcus. It's about what happened to Maya. Her company tripled in size within a year. Other businesses wanted to work with her, not despite what she did, but because of it. They saw a leader who had principles and the courage to stand by them. Investment offers poured in. The best talent in technology wanted to work for her. Everyone wanted to be part of a company that valued people over profit. Maya used her new influence to create programs that helped young people from poor backgrounds get into technology. She funded schools in communities that had been ignored. She made sure that kids who grew up like she did would have chances to succeed. A year after the party, Maya gave a speech at a huge conference for business leaders. Thousands of people filled the auditorium to hear her speak. The topic was leading with dignity. She stood on that stage, confident and powerful, wearing a beautiful dress that had no wine stains. I've been asked many times if I regret what I did that night, she began. People want to know if I wish I had just ignored the insult, taken the money, and moved on. The audience was completely silent, waiting, and my answer is simple. No, not for one single second. Applause erupted, but Maya raised her hand for quiet. Because here's what I learned. The moment you accept disrespect, you teach people that you can be disrespected. The moment you put money before dignity, you lose something that money can never buy back. And the moment you stand up, truly stand up for what you're worth, you give other people permission to do the same. More applause, louder this time. That night, I didn't just cancel a contract. I drew a line. I said, this is where I stop. This is where I refuse to go any further. And yes, it cost billions. Yes, it caused chaos. Yes, it changed lives. She paused, looking out at all those faces watching her. But it also sent a message that echoed around the world. It told every person who's ever been made to feel small, every person who's been laughed at, every person who's been told they don't belong. You are worth more than their cruelty. Your dignity is not negotiable, and you have more power than you know. The audience stood up, clapping and cheering. Some people were crying. Maya had spoken a truth that touched something deep in thousands of hearts. As she left the stage, a young woman stopped her in the hallway. She couldn't have been more than 20 years old, with nervous eyes and shaking hands. "Ms. Chun," she said quietly, "I just wanted to thank you. Last month, my boss yelled at me in front of everyone at my job. He made fun of where I went to college. And I was going to just take it because I need the money." "What did you do?" Maya asked gently. "I quit," the young woman said, tears in her eyes but a smile on her face. "I walked out, and then I found a better job with people who treat me right. I thought about you, about how you didn't let them break you, and I decided I wouldn't let anyone break me either." Maya hugged her, this stranger whose life she had touched without even knowing it. "That's not just my story anymore," she whispered. "It's our story. It's everyone's story who decides they deserve better. And that's the real ending to this tale. Not the billions lost or the empire that fell. Not the viral videos or the headlines. The real ending is in every person who saw what Maya did and found the courage to stand up for themselves too. Because true power isn't about destroying your enemies. True power is about knowing your worth and refusing to accept anything less. It's about understanding that respect isn't something you beg for or buy. It's something you demand, quietly and firmly, by walking away from anyone who can't give it to you. Maya Chin didn't just cancel a contract that night. She started a revolution that whispered to millions of people, "You matter. Your dignity matters." And sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply say no. The wine stains washed out of that black dress eventually, but the lesson never faded. And every time someone stands up for themselves now, every time someone refuses to be treated as less than human, they're carrying forward the message that started in that ballroom. Dignity is not negotiable. Respect is not optional. And you are worth more than you know.